Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Outerspaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. Our industry is in crisis. We have record low conversion rates. On average, the average outdoor living landscape or hardscape contractor closes between 20 and 30% of the leads that they go on. And that's due to poor follow-up and misalignment of customer needs. There's an extremely high failure rate along businesses in this industry. About 20% of contracting businesses fail within the first year, and nearly 50% fail within the first 5 years. This failure rate is often due to poor sales or flat cash flow management problems. And this drives the depression, extreme stress, overwhelm that leads to substance abuse and other vices in our industry. There's also high competition and price sensitivity. A lot of what we do is very high ticket. So the contracting industry is highly competitive and many contractors are vying for the same projects. But here's the problem. Most customers that you're serving are trained to get 3 quotes. And when your quote looks just like everybody else's quote, there's a problem. The client is only stuck with price as a differentiator. Now imagine a world where landscape, hardscape, and outdoor living contractors could close 75% or more of their projects, and they could spend more time living and less time working. Their stress levels would be cut in half, and they'd have more money in the bank than they need, and their accounts are up and happy, and they have 2 to 3 weeks vacation. They can take 2 to 3 weeks vacation a year while their business grows. I know that might sound impossible, but here's what we need to get there. We got to stop pissing time away with clients who don't buy. Now imagine if you went on 5 projects a week to look at 5 leads, 5 projects a week, and each one you spend roughly 3 hours between driving and putting together a proposal. I'm not even going to include design work here. Let's keep it simple. That's about 15 hours. If you get, just to say, 20% of those projects, how much time are you wasting that you aren't able to work on your business or be with your family? Imagine getting a day each week that you could go fishing or go out and enjoy nature or spend time with your family, or heck, just take off and watch TV. Imagine that. Imagine having a day a week where you weren't stressed out, overwhelmed, and being told no. Also, we got to stop breaking promises. Telling our clients is that we'll have our proposals over to them by Friday. Friday comes and goes, and the client doesn't get a proposal. And then we wonder why when we get it back to them on the following Wednesday or Thursday, when we finally have time to get to it, they've already moved on or they don't trust us anymore. Also expecting you from your clients. And here's what I mean by that. We got to stop expecting the clients to think of the world the way we do. They don't know what we know. They don't build outdoor living projects all the time. They don't know what costs are. They don't know what they should be. They don't know what options are. These are the things that we have to stop expecting from our clients. We got to stop expecting ourselves, our vision of the world, our understanding of outdoor living on our clients. A lot of companies, a lot of business owners are driving their businesses blind. And what I mean by that is they're putting on a blindfold, they're getting in their car, they're putting it in drive, and they're just driving. They have no idea what's going on. And I can say this because this used to be my story. I used to keep thinking, you know what? The next project will make it up. As soon as I get to this project, or the next one, or the big one coming, it'll make up for all the losses or poor choices I made before. And I was constantly high on hopium, hoping that the next one would fix the problem, or that nice corner lot I would take as a discount just in order to get into a new development, and I would lose money on it. And I didn't have systems and processes back then to do it. And to be quite honest with you, it was very painful, extremely high stress, and extremely high overwhelm, always thinking, I don't know if it's just one banana peel slip away from this whole business collapsing. It's what it felt like all the time. And I was working way too hard for way too little money. The numbers were big. I was seeing big accounts, big numbers, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a bank account. But by the end of the year, there was nothing left. And I was like, man, for all that time I worked, I could have had a 9-to-5 job and probably put more in my account that would have been saved than going out and working my tail off 50, 60, 80 hours a week just so I didn't have to punch a clock for somebody else. Now, this all has to change if we want to move forward as an industry. We have to get more focused on the soft skills. We have to start thinking about how do we start going from survival to thriving? How do we go from survival where we can just pay bills, get the next project to pay the bills that are due, that are already late, We got the tax man coming up. Let's get this deposit and pay him. And then when it comes time to build that project, we don't have money in order to pay for the materials we need to build the project, get the next payment. Let's go from surviving to thriving. And the way we do that is by standardizing the soft skills. What I mean by soft skills is we don't, as an industry, and I know I started out in this industry the same way, I was really good at thinking things out and building things. And I wanted to show the world what I was capable of building. Whether it was an outdoor patio or a kitchen or a fireplace or fire pit or landscaping or lighting, you name it. I wanted to prove to the world that I could build this really cool feature. So I focused all my attention on becoming the very best builder. And what I found as I started to grow and scale is that took me so far, but at a certain point, usually between the $750,000 and $1 million mark, soft skills start becoming much more important. And not that hard skills aren't. Building is very important, but the soft skills, the communication between teams, how do you lead your teams? How are you able to communicate your value to your client so you don't get into that 3-bid situation where your client only knows the difference of you and your competitors by a number? How do we help them feel something so that they know that we are the better choice and that we listen to them intentfully? That's when things started to shift. So this all starts when you start learning how to communicate and serve others, not sell them. This has never been about selling, even though that's what we're taught, right? We keep hearing about the word close, such an important word in sales. Everybody knows what it means. I hate that word, but I use it because people know what it means. And I feel like closing means to close a door, to cut off opportunity to serve. Serve is a much more open concept. We're not here to sell anybody. We're simply here to serve them, to listen deeply to what they need for the very best solutions, not to tell them what to do or walk in like we're the hero telling them exactly what should happen, because people don't like to be told. Think about it. The last time you went to buy something, did you want a salesperson to tell you what you needed, or did you want them to ask questions to make sure the choices you had in front of you would best solve your problem? Think about that for a moment. How do you like to be, quote unquote, sold to, or in better words, served by people who are trying to help you get what you want? So I say all of this because this is officially the last episode of Outerspaces podcast. After 3 years of recording and 180 episodes and over 100 amazing guests, we're closing this chapter. This is the last time that you'll hear my voice under the Outerspaces name. And Outerspaces has been an amazing ride for me. I've really enjoyed sharing all the conversations. I've learned so much on this. And deep down, there's a bit of a selfish desire for the podcast because I want to learn as much as I possibly can about our industry and how to help my own outdoor living design manage practice thrive in any economy. And by having a podcast, it allows me to meet and have conversations with other people, other professionals that are far beyond where I am in certain sectors, so that I can take that knowledge and instead of spending a lifetime trying to collect that and learn that for myself and burn the reps and break it and make it better, I can go to people who have already done it and improved it. And now I can take that information and fast track the success of my other companies. And that's really one of the bigger reasons why I started Outerspaces, was to be able to have connection. And then I said, you know what? What happens when we can share all that information with the rest of the industry? Because, Outerspaces has been much like a magnifying glass. And what I mean by that is when you take a magnifying glass and it's a sunny day and you pull that magnifying glass out and you put it in front of you and you just watch the sun move through it without it being focused, you see on the ground a big blotch of light. But as you move that magnifying glass down or up, you'll start to see it getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the magnifying glass just moving the light through it doesn't have much effect, meaning that the ground where the light is, it's not really changed much until you move that magnifying glass to a point where you get a pinpoint of light. And that pinpoint of light becomes strong enough to create fire. The same light, different magnification by just moving that magnifying glass. I say all of this because God's put it on my heart to dedicate my life to helping raise the standard in our industry from the closing rate from 20 to 30% to over 75%. That's what He's put in my heart. In order to do that, I'm actually shifting and rebranding this podcast. I'm calling it Sales Made Simple for landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living pros. I know this industry in and out. I've been in it for 30 years now, and I love what we do. I love serving clients. I love designing things. I love solving problems, and I love helping others do the same thing. So by refocusing this podcast from outer spaces, that much bigger pool of light, down to the very focused light that can cause and start an amazing fire in your life and in your business, that is my target. And to get our entire industry in my lifetime to 75% closing rate. And I don't mean that by trying to teach all kinds of crazy, sleazy sales tactics. That is not at all what I'm focused on. I know by practice and by example, and also by tons of evidence in my own practice and others, hundreds of others, of businesses in our industry around the country that I've had the blessing and the privilege of working with, that it is possible. Now, if we can just raise the tide for all businesses out there in the landscaping, hardscaping, and outdoor living space by helping you guys communicate, I can share the things that I've learned throughout the last 30 years and on my journey to be able to close 90+% of projects in our practice. And my goal here is to help everyone get to that point, because I believe each and every one of you should have the opportunity to spend more time with family, have less stress in your life, and enjoy more of what you do and not be so stressed out. So I pray that each one of you will join me as we share strategies and raising your closing rates and serving your clients to the next level. Now, I want to share with you before I go here an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. My bigger mission with all of this and shifting this podcast from outer spaces to sales made simple for landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living pros is to build a tribe of highly successful contractors who want more out of life and that'll serve others on a much higher level. I know that as we grow and as we're able to serve and share within our industry and become a brother and sisterhood, that we can serve all of our clients to a much, much higher level. You go to your doctor. Do you argue price? When you go to your lawyer, do you argue price? I think not. You trust their professional opinions. Why are clients coming to us and arguing with price? It's because they're not heard. They're not understood. They're not listened to. They don't see the value that you provide. It's so far beyond your ability to build things. It is so much more ingrained in your ability to demonstrate the value that you bring, the gifts that God has already given you, that you can bring them to the table and share them with your clients. That is what this is all about. So I hope you join me each week as we share tips, strategies, and other contractors' sales success stories here on the Sales Made Simple podcast. Thanks for listening.